Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today we are getting started with my declutter series, finally. I have been promising this for a very long time, so I'm definitely excited to get into it. However, I've actually kind of already gotten into it. You may have seen my community post. If you didn't, then I will tell you now. I have had some major technical difficulties getting this off the ground. That being said, because of those technical difficulties, I have technically already filmed this primer declutter. So these are actually just the primers that I'm keeping. Back here I have the primers that I'm decluttering. I don't bring that many new primers into my collection, partially because I don't use it every time I do my makeup. So if you're curious about my thoughts on any of these primers that I'm keeping, I will link my collection video about my primer collection down below. It will include most of this because not very many of these are new. That being said, I am going to go ahead and talk to you about the primers that I'm decluttering because I think that's the main reason people watch declutters, to hear about what I'm getting rid of, not necessarily what I'm keeping. So let me show you the primers that I am going to go ahead and declutter for my collection because I don't feel like talking about all of these again. So let's talk about it. First things first, I will be decluttering this Joa Blur Activator Primer. This has a very similar consistency to the Hourglass Mineral Veil Primer thing, and that's why I picked this up, because it was supposed to be a dupe for that. However, this is like a mattifying primer, really. Like, it's not even really a pore filler. It's kind of just mattifying, and I'm very into the dewy look. So I just never reach for this, so I really don't need this. Somebody who likes matte skin would definitely get more use out of this than me, so that's where it's gonna go. Next, I will also be decluttering this Elemis Superfood Glow Priming Moisturizer. I got this in a BoxyCharm ages ago, and there's nothing wrong with it, it's fine. It's just that if I'm gonna use a glowy primer, I'm going to use something much glowier than this. And I don't really need a moisturizer that's also glowy because I moisturize very well when I do my skincare routine. And I was really kind of only holding on to it because it's like Elemis, which is a fancy brand and whatever, but I need to stop doing that. So this is gonna go. Next, oh boy, the Smashbox Primerizer. This is the original Smashbox Primerizer. And it's a very good primer, I like it. However, this is so old, they do not even sell the primerizer in this packaging anymore. They sell it in a squeeze tube now. And it's so old, in fact, and I'm not picky about makeup expiration dates, okay? But this one is so old that I'm like scared to put it on my face. So this is actually gonna go in the trash because I'm like too scared to use it. It doesn't smell bad or anything, but it just kind of worries me. So this is gonna go. And also I have this Laura Geller Hydrate Spackle Primer in my collection now from a BoxyCharm, and it's pretty similar to the Smashbox Primerizer in like texture and effect on the skin. So I have something to kind of replace it. Next, I will be decluttering the e.l.f. Mint Melt Primer. So this is a gripping primer, and I love gripping primers, and generally from e.l.f. I love the gripping primers. The Jelly Pop, as you can see, has been used and abused, and I actually have a backup of the Jelly Pop that will be replacing this one when I inevitably run out of it. So in addition to already having a gripping primer from e.l.f. that I like more, the reason I don't love this one is because it's actually like too thick and too tacky. And so makeup just kind of sits on top of it weird, it's hard to spread over your skin, and also they don't sell this one anymore. So, I mean, there's no real reason for me to talk about it. So this one can definitely go. While we're talking about e.l.f., I will be decluttering my e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. And you may be looking at this bin of things right here and going, well, what the heck is that then? This is the e.l.f. Acne Fighting Putty Primer. They are very similar. As a matter of fact, they are identical formulas. The only difference between the two is that this one has a green tint and contains salicylic acid to kind of fight getting acne, and this one has neither of those things. The formulas are absolutely identical, so me having both is kind of silly, because if I'm gonna use one, I'm gonna use this one because it helps with my redness because it's green, and also it helps prevent me from getting acne at least a little bit. So obviously if I'm using one, I'm using this one, so the regular one can go and somebody else will get some use out of a really nice drugstore primer. If you don't have a problem with acne, I do still recommend the regular formula of the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer because it is very nice. Next, I will be decluttering this Ulla Henriksen Banana Bright Primer. This was fine while I had it. I don't love the scent. It's kind of artificial banana-y, and that's weird for me. Also, it's got vitamin C in it, which I found in a recent kind of skincare experiment breaks me out. So I'm very sensitive and very acne prone. Turns out vitamin C as an ingredient breaks me out. So I don't really want to use this on my face. And finally, it's just really old. Like, I got this in a BoxyCharm ages and ages and ages ago. So I just don't feel great about putting it on my skin anymore. So this one's actually going to get thrown out as well. While I'm on ones that I'm going to throw away, this is the Tula Face Filter Primer. This is fine. It's definitely blurring. It's got a tint to it that helps kind of correct imperfections. The problem is that it's tinted way too dark for my skin tone. And also, this little mini thing, the pump, like, doesn't even work. It would have been hilarious if it just pumped all over my table. But yeah, the pump doesn't even work, so I'm gonna throw this one away because it would be kind of an asshole move of me to give it away with a broken pump. So, yeah. This is the Winky Lux Whipped Cream Primer. It's kind of a pore-filling primer, that, like, moussey, putty texture that blurs out your pores, that kind of thing. The reason I'm getting rid of this is not necessarily because there's anything wrong with it, but because I also have the L'Oreal Magic Perfecting Base, which is essentially the same thing, but I like this one better. So someone else will probably get some decent use out of the Whipped Cream Primer because it's incredibly similar to the L'Oreal, and I love that L'Oreal one. I just don't need both of them. And finally, for primers I'm getting rid of, I will be decluttering this NYX Mini of the Marshmallow Primer. There's nothing necessarily wrong with it. I just don't really see it doing that much for my skin when I use it. And I mean, I've used it a fair few times. This tube is at least half empty. I am a little bit sad about getting rid of it though, because it smells incredible. It smells exactly like, I don't know if you ever had those like 50 packs or 20 packs or whatever of the Crayola markers, the long skinny ones, and there were some in some of the packages that were scented. The black one was marshmallow scented, and it smelled exactly like this. So that's kind of a bummer. I'm actually going to put a little bit of this on the back of my hand so I can just smell it a little bit before I get rid of it. I lied to you. The marshmallow was not the last one. The last one is this MAC Strobe Cream. There's nothing really wrong with this. Again, it's fine. It's just that for me, I have a lot of glowy base products that I use more. And the reason I don't really use this one as a glowy base product is that it's almost too glowy. It's very, very, like, highlighter from space kind of glowy, and that's not a great thing under foundation, at least for me. And then I could use it as a liquid highlighter, but the problem with that is that the texture of it is almost like a moisturizer for me. It's very creamy, and so it kind of breaks up my foundation, and it just kind of makes things look weird. So this doesn't really have a useful spot in my makeup collection. And I'm sure somebody else would love to have it, so I'm going to go ahead and pass this on. But yes, those are the primers that I will be decluttering. These are the primers that I will be keeping. And again, if you want to know any more specific information about any of these primers that I'm keeping, feel free to check out my primer collection video, which I will have linked in the description down below. So without any further yapping about my primer collection, let's get into foundations and tinted moisturizers. Okay, so these are all of my foundations and tinted moisturizers. As you can see, I kind of have a lot. This part of my collection has definitely been overwhelming me a little bit, so I'm hoping to make at least a little bit of a dent. I don't like getting rid of stuff just to get rid of it. I really only get rid of things that I feel like I won't miss or I don't really like. So, you know, I'm not gonna set myself a number or anything that I need to declutter, but I just want to feel a little less overwhelmed by it. So let's go ahead and get into it. I have kind of my tinted moisturizers and BB cream type of stuff on top here because I keep them in a separate drawer, and then the foundations are all kind of underneath. So we're going to start with the lighter products. Let's start here. This is the Milk Makeup Sunshine Skin Tint. It has kind of fun packaging. It's got like the roller ball on top, and you click it up with this end. So it's fun. I really, really like how this looks on the skin, and it probably won't take me long to use it up because I'm already to here, and every time I use it, it kind of takes a lot to get the kind of level of coverage that I want. So I feel like I have a good shot at actually using this all the way up, and I really do think it gives a really dewy, pretty finish on the skin, so this is gonna stay. This is one of my current favorite lighter coverage products. This is the MAC Studio Radiance Face and Body. This has the most incredible, like, blurring effect over the skin, but it also has the right amount of dewiness, and it's not heavy. It's like liquidy thin. Like, I don't know if you can hear this, but it's super, super thin. It's basically water texture, and yet somehow it just makes your face look absolutely perfect. So this is gonna absolutely stay. This is a favorite on the channel, the Wet n Wild Tinted Hydrator. Absolutely beautiful. If you are looking for a solid, like, light to medium coverage, everyday wear kind of product on a budget, this is probably my #1 recommendation. This is crazy good. Very similar to that, actually, is the Urban Decay Stay Naked Hydromaniac. This, I feel like, is almost more of a foundation, and yet, for some reason, it's very similar to the Tinted Hydrator. But I think of this one more as a foundation. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. This is beautiful. It has a really nice finish as well. But, I mean, if you're deciding between the two, I would say that the Wet n Wild is just as good, if not better. I'm glad I got this one on sale. I don't think I would have paid full price, but I do like it. The ColourPop Pretty Fresh Tinted Moisturizer, I think I am actually going to let go of. It's okay. I don't know. The way I've had this for a while, and the way that this looks on my skin just does not stand out in my mind. I feel like it sits on top of my skin a little bit, and it's really hard to kind of rub it in and get it to become one with my skin. Also, it's just kind of starting to separate a little bit, and I don't know. It's okay, but it's nothing to write home about, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. This one I love. This is the Pure Wees Ageless Glow Serum BB Cream. It's SPF 40 and it has a mineral SPF, which is great for me because I have very sensitive skin and chemical sunscreens tend to break me out. I use this all the time. It's actually got incredible coverage and a beautiful dewy finish. So thank you to BoxyCharm for this one. This one is newer to me. This is the Revlon Color Stay Light Cover Foundation. I found this at a Marshall's. I've used it a couple of times and it's okay. It's kind of got like a natural matte finish. It's got more coverage than I thought it would, but it's very, very thin in texture, which is kind of nice. I really like thin textured coverage products. I haven't used it enough times to really know if I love it or not, so I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt for now. But so far, I'm like, I like it, but I don't know if I love it, you know? But I'm going to give it a couple more chances. Similar to that is this LA Girl Tinted Foundation. It's actually incredibly similar to the Revlon one. It even kind of feels and looks similar on the skin. But again, I feel like I just haven't used it enough to get super familiar with it. I feel like when I've used it, I've liked it, but I don't really feel as familiar with it as I want to before I make a call on this. So I'm holding out on this one as well. We're going to consider those two as like in purgatory, needing more testing. This I love. This is the Estee Lauder Futurist Hydra Rescue Foundation. Absolutely stunning. 10 out of 10, no notes. I have worn this in like the craziest, hottest days ever, and my skin looked so dewy, and yet this did not budge. SPF 45, so when the sun is blazing down, this adds an extra layer of protection, and I mean, the finish is just crazy beautiful. I love this. This one is the L'Oreal True Match Nude. I absolutely love this. This looks incredible on the skin. The two caveats I have about it are the packaging is kind of disgusting. The dropper is gross. And if you're dry like myself, I wouldn't use this for like every single day kind of a coverage product because it does have a pretty high content of denatured alcohol and that can dry you out a little bit. So I don't use this like days and days in a row, but you know, for every once in a while, it's absolutely beautiful. This is the CoverGirl Clean Fresh Skin Milk. I'm probably gonna get rid of this one because it keeps kind of like separating here and I have to like pick it up and shake it up. And like I said, I'm not a stickler for expiration dates, but when I can see it like visibly expiring, it's kind of gross. So, you know, it's a clean line, so it expires faster and yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw this one out. This is the NYX Bear With Me Tinted Skin Veil. They don't make this anymore, which is a damn shame because it's one of the best things NYX ever made. I just love this so much. It's got such a natural finish, but it's blurring and it has just the right amount of coverage for like a light, everyday look. I love how my skin looks every single time I use this, and I don't care if it's old. I will keep it in my collection until I either use it up or it is visibly expired. And last but certainly not least, for my tinted moisturizers, I have this Misha Perfect Cover BB Cream. Calling this a tinted moisturizer is actually kind of funny because it's got incredible coverage, It has this weird kind of grayish undertone, but don't let that fool you. It still blends into the skin incredibly beautifully. It leaves this dewy look that still lasts all day. My mom compliments me every time I'm wearing this. She's always like, oh, your skin looks really good today. And it's always this. I love this. I've used so much of it. I have a backup of it. It's a pretty good price on Amazon, and I've also found it at like TJ Maxx. So if you see this, I do recommend it. So let's go ahead and move into more like foundations proper. Let's just start with the easy one. This is the LYS Triple Fix Serum Foundation. If you saw my recent haul video, this is very new to my collection and I'm really enjoying it, so obviously it's not going anywhere. This is the ABH Luminous Foundation. This is absolutely beautiful. It is just the right amount of dewiness. The lasting power is really impressive. The coverage is exactly right. That beautiful sweet spot of like medium to full. A lot of what I like about foundations kind of fits a lot of these, and I don't really want to beat a dead horse and repeat it over and over and over again. So those are just some of the qualities that I look for in a really good foundation, and this ticks all those boxes, so it's definitely going to stay. Speaking of all of those qualities, this is the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation. This is currently my favorite foundation in my collection. I've been wearing this so much. It's watery thin, so it never emphasizes texture. It's almost blurring. It just makes your skin look so perfect. Every time I wear this, I will like look at myself in the mirror after wearing it for 12 hours and be like, oh my God, my skin looks so good. I'll look at myself in pictures later and be like, oh my God, my skin looks so good. It is crazy how good this is. Yes, it's expensive, but my God, am I getting my money's worth out of it. So yeah, current favorite foundation in my collection obviously is going to stay. This one from Milani I'm actually going to let go of. This is their cream to powder foundation. I think this kind of thing is just not what I like in a coverage product. It takes a little too much of it for me to get the coverage that I want. So I feel like I have to kind of keep digging into it and then building it and building it and building it. If you're into a matte product that has a very, very, very light coverage, this is cool. But I prefer something a little bit more, you know, like approaching medium at least, and kind of a more satin or dewy finish. So this doesn't really work for me, but I'm sure it'll work for somebody. This is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow Foundation. I love this. It's beautiful. Fantastic drugstore option if you're into the dewy look, but like lasts an incredible amount of time. This is like my second or third bottle of this, I think. I love this. I've been using it for a really long time. It's a classic in my collection. It goes nowhere. Another classic in my collection is the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless. Again, this is, I want to say, my third bottle. I love this stuff. I don't even usually like matte foundation, but this one has just been such a staple in my collection, and I always like how my skin looks when I wear it. So when I am going for more of the matte look, which, you know, sometimes is the look that I'm going for, this does a really good job. It's just kind of old reliable in my collection, you know, so I'm keeping it around. This goes nowhere. This is my Dior Backstage Face and Body Foundation. I am so wildly obsessed with this. If the NARS is my favorite, this is probably my second favorite. It's beautiful. It's watery thin, and somehow it works for like every day because it's so light, but also can be built up to be pretty good coverage and like a glam look. It blurs over every imperfection on your face. Like, this is a luxury foundation from a luxury brand, and it makes sense that it's luxury. But honestly, it's not even that expensive for a luxury brand. I think this is $40, and that's pretty standard for a high-end foundation. But this is like 1.6 ounces as opposed to a standard foundation is 1. So this is actually cheaper by the ounce than a lot of high-end foundations, which is crazy because this is phenomenal stuff. Somehow it works for everything from everyday to glam, stays on all day, never budges. It's crazy. I love this stuff. I'm also a big fan of the ColourPop Pretty Fresh foundation. This is really, really beautiful. The shade's a little bit light for me, but I don't mind deepening it up with like my bronzing drops or anything like that. It's a pretty easy fix. It's got a beautiful finish. It's really, really hydrating, but it kind of sets to more of a satiny finish. And I mean, it's just a beautiful, hydrated, healthy look. I'm a big fan. I am actually going to get rid of this one as much as it pains me. This is the Wander Beauty Nude Illusion foundation. And while this is a beautiful foundation, I mean, really looks nice on the skin. I always like how my skin looks when I wear this. It has begun to smell, I kid you not, like identical to Play-Doh. And I don't really think it's supposed to smell like that. It's a real shame because this is a beautiful foundation and I have no idea if it's even available anywhere anymore. I don't think they sell this at Sephora anymore and I don't know where you can get it, but it's a great foundation. So it's a shame, but if I pull it out and open it, I immediately just like close it and put it away again because it freaks me out. And also it doesn't help that it's like a doe foot applicator. It's like, that's probably gross by now. And I kid you not, it smelled like exactly identical to a tub of Play-Doh. So, unfortunately, this one's gonna need to see its way out. This is the Believe Beauty Skin Finish Foundation. No joke, this is sold at Dollar General for $5. The packaging is so luxe. It's glass, it's heavy. The look on the skin, incredibly high-end. It's a little thicker in consistency than I usually love in a foundation, but it still sinks into the skin just beautifully. It doesn't emphasize texture, which is what I sometimes worry about with thicker foundations. So, I mean, this is a real gem, especially at the price point. So I'm gonna hang on to this one. This one you absolutely cannot pry away from me. This is my Bare Minerals Powder Foundation. As you can see, I'm like halfway done with it. I love this. I wear this a lot because whenever I feel like I've worn liquid foundation too many days in a row, I feel like if my skin's starting to get a little sick of that and starting to get kind of irritated and breaky outy, something about it being a powder, it just doesn't really impact my skin as much, or maybe I'm making that up in my head. I don't know. Regardless, the finish is crazy beautiful. For the first like half hour to an hour, it does look a little powdery, I'm not gonna lie, but after that, it just kind of mixes with your natural oils and everything, and it looks, I kid you not, like a liquid foundation. It is crazy. It develops this like satiny, dewy finish, and it's a powder. I don't know. This is witchcraft. I'm hanging on to it. I'm gonna finish it probably, and then get another one. I hate to do this. I really do. This is the IT Cosmetics Your Skin But Better CC Cream, and I think this one has to go. Which is so sad, because I remember really liking this, and everyone really likes this. It might just be old, I don't know what it is, and it sucks, because it's SPF 50, and it's mineral sunscreen, and that's great for me. But for some reason, the last few times I've used this, my skin has ended up looking awful within a matter of a couple of hours. It's ridiculous. I wore this for a Zoom interview, for a residency interview not that long ago, and by the time I was done, it wasn't even a long interview day, it was like maybe 3 hours. By the time I was done, I went and looked in the mirror, and I audibly gasped at how bad my foundation looked. It might just be old. I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt and say it might just be old, but either way, I cannot justify hanging on to this any longer. This is the Physicians Formula The Healthy Foundation. Straight up, they don't even sell this anymore. I wouldn't know where to get it if I wanted to, number one. And number two, it's not bad. Like, when I wear this, I feel like I don't dislike how my skin looks. It's just kind of unremarkable. And I have too many foundations to hang on to a bunch of things that are unremarkable. And because you can't even get it anymore, I feel kind of bad talking about it anyway. So this can go. I'm okay with it. Similarly, this Revolution Fast Base Foundation Stick, it's just kind of like heavier on the skin than I am super comfortable with. It's got a matte finish, which again is not really my preference, and it just feels really thick and makeup-y. And I don't know, like, my skin doesn't look bad when I wear it, but I never really want to wear it because it just, I don't love how it feels. So this can also go. This foundation stick, on the other hand, I do like. This is the Wet n Wild Stick Foundation. It's very, very pretty on the skin. It's got much more of like a satin natural finish, and it's a really great affordable stick foundation option. So, I mean, this is a kind of a tried and true option. This is the Catrice True Skin Foundation. I'm obsessed with this. This is currently one of my favorite drugstore foundations, no contest. The lasting power is insane. The finish on the skin is so beautiful. It's like a satiny, natural, like bordering on dewy, but I would say definitely more of like a satin. It is hydrating. It never makes my skin feel stripped or dry. And I mean, the long wear thing is no joke. It is long wear, but your skin looks perfect. I don't know. It's really, really good. Witchcraft in a bottle. fantastic option. You can get this for like 10 bucks on Amazon, and I really recommend that you do. Okay, I don't really want this to take a zillion years, so I'm going to try to start rapid firing through some of these. I will leave a link to my foundation collection in the description as well. Flower Beauty Light Illusion, stunning, beautiful, incredible drugstore option, dewy, gorgeous, not going anywhere. Too Faced Born This Way, an oldie but a goodie, perfect for events, full glam type of deal. I love this. I wear it for like Christmas and New Year's and all that jazz because it feels special. So again, gets to stay. Similarly, Estee Lauder Double Wear, perfect event foundation. This is like freaking shellac paint for your face. This will not budge once it is down. I wear this to concerts, out in the sun, out and doing whatever at events. This will not ever budge ever, and the coverage is incredible. So obviously an old classic. Ulta Beauty Complexion Crush. I talked about this in an underrated makeup video. This is so good. Again, like the Believe Beauty one I mentioned, this is a little bit thicker than I usually prefer in a foundation. I usually like things that are a little bit more thin and serum-y textured. Nonetheless, does not emphasize texture at all. Again, I put this on my face and I'm always like, holy crap, what do I have on my face right now? It looks amazing. It's beautiful. Really recommend this. More people should be talking about this. Oh, this needs to go. This is the Cover FX Custom Cover Drops. I love this. I used to get compliments on this when I had it on as a foundation literally all the time because it was so thin but so full coverage that it just made me look absolutely perfect. Unfortunately, this is basically empty, and what is left is like separating out into this like oily mess. That's disgusting. So yeah, this is gonna get thrown out, which is a real shame because it sure was well loved while I was using it. This is from an Australian brand called Designer Brands. It's their Luminous Hydrating Foundation. It's really, really beautiful. I would compare this very much to the Flower Beauty Light Illusion Foundation. This one might even be a little bit dewier. Very beautiful, finish, stunning. I love how this looks on the skin. Definitely staying. Listen, I tried this again in my On the Chopping Block video, and it looked fine. But similar to the Healthy Foundation and a couple of the other ones I'm getting rid of, it just isn't really remarkable enough to me for me to hang on to it. I have foundations that are long wearing that I like better, and this one is not a good color match for me anyway. I feel like I'm hanging on to it purely because everybody else likes it, and I don't want to keep doing that. So I am finally going to declutter this thing. This is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Dewy Foundation, not to be confused with the Photo Focus Matte, which is fine, but this one is awesome. I'm a big dewy foundation girl, like I said, perfect coverage level, all those things that I said I like in a foundation, this one has, and at like a $6 or $7 price point, so hey, what's not to like? This is the Pure 4-in-1 Love Your Selfie Foundation. I mean, technically it also has a doe foot in addition to the pump, because they say it's also a concealer. I don't care, I only use it as a foundation, and I really like it for that. Again, I consider this more of like a glam, dolled up foundation because it is very, very full coverage, but the finish is beautiful and the lasting power is great, so she stays. This is the Clinique Even Better Foundation, and I was actually really surprised at how much I liked this. I know Clinique is kind of considered one of those like old people brands or whatever, but I get it because this is a banger. I picked this up at a Marshall's at some point, I think, and just because I was curious and it was pretty cheap. And I've really enjoyed it. I mean, I feel like I really like how my skin looks every time I wear this, and I don't think it really breaks me out because it's kind of a skincare-y brand, which is great. So it's more of like a natural bordering on matte finish than the dewy kind of thing that I usually like, but I like having a couple of, you know, more natural finish foundations on hand. So, I mean, this is really nice. This, oh my gosh, this is the L'Oreal Age Perfect Radiant Serum Foundation. This is watery thin, beautiful, like medium coverage. It's just crazy beautiful. Seriously, I don't even know if they sell this anymore because I don't really see the Age Perfect line around anymore. If you see it, I really recommend it because it is so beautiful. This is the No. 7 Lift and Illuminate Foundation. Again, very thin texture, very beautiful, dewy kind of finish. A lot of these foundations have a lot of things in common, like I said, and I like them for it, so this is a good one. This is the Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. This is probably the closest drugstore equivalent to Estee Lauder's Double Wear. This is like shellac paint for your face as well. It says up to 24 hours. I've never tried wearing makeup for up to 24 hours, but if any foundations could do it, it would be Double Wear and this. So I like having this around as a drugstore option that I feel a little bit less guilty using than double wear. I don't know. I feel like I know that you're supposed to use your makeup, but it feels a little easier to use the cheap stuff than the super nice, expensive stuff. You know what I mean? So I like having this around. Okay, folks, getting down to the wire. This is the NARS, what is this one? Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation. It's a little mini of it that I found at a TJ Maxx at one point. This shade's way too light for me, but holy crap, do I love the finish of this foundation, and I'm kind of fighting with myself about whether to keep this one or drop the change on a full-size bottle. I feel like I want to hang on to this one and just keep darkening it up with my bronzer drops for a little bit longer. See if I can, use it a little bit more, and then I'll make the decision about whether to drop the change on a full-size. That's, in a better shade. So she gets to stay for now. Sephora Best Skin Ever also gets to stay. This is a really nice, natural matte foundation, and at a really great price point, especially when Sephora runs the VIB sale. 30% off. This ends up being $14, I think, which is a steal. I'm a big fan of it, man. It makes your skin look really blurred and beautiful. Not much more to say. And then there were two. I don't know what to do with these. This is the Josie Marin Vibrancy Foundation. I found it on Marshall's or something at one point. And this is the Beauty Blender Bounce Foundation that I am also pretty sure I found at a Marshall's at some point. And I feel like these are both high-end foundations that I feel like I need to keep because of that. But I never think about them. And so I'm trying not to sunk cost fallacy myself into keeping foundations that I'm not going to use. But I feel like I also haven't given them a fair shot because I keep forgetting, I feel like I need a minute to think about this one. Okay, thanks to the power of editing, I have taken my minute and I know what I'm going to do. I am going to go ahead and declutter the Beauty Blender one. Not because it's not a perfectly good foundation, but honestly, mainly because of the packaging. I really don't like the whole, flip this switch and then pump it out like this, and the pump gets clogged up and it gets really messy, and I just don't like that. And this isn't a remarkable enough foundation for me to deal with it. However, I'm going to hang on to this Josie Marin Vibrancy one for now. I'm going to give it another shot, a fair shake at actually, using it more often, because this is more of a dewy finish kind of foundation, which is more of what I prefer. I feel like this has a better chance of making its way into impressing me. And I feel like I haven't tried it enough times to really be able to say, no, I don't want to keep it, especially when I know that it has a lot of the qualities that I like in a foundation. So this gets to stay for now and get a better shot. All right, you guys, so these are the foundations I'm going to be hanging on to. I know it's still a lot, but I do actually use them and I do actually like them. That being said, these ones here are the ones that I am definitely hanging on to and aren't going anywhere, and these ones are the ones that kind of need more testing before I make a definitive decision. So these are kind of in limbo right now. I'm going to put these somewhere where I see them more often and remember that I need to be testing these. And then these are the ones that I'm going to be getting rid of, which as kind of a chronically way to attach to possessions kind of person, I am pretty proud of myself for getting rid of that many. Yeah, 10. That's double digits, baby. I think that's a success. I know I said I wasn't going to set a number, but the fact that I made it to double digits is pretty good by me. So, that being said, let's go ahead and move on to concealers. All right, y'all, let's keep moving along with concealers. I also have some color correctors over here on this side. I don't think I'm going to get rid of any, so I'm just going to kind of show you what I have, and then we'll move on. I have a couple of green ones. This is the LA Girl Pro Conceal, which is kind of better for spot correcting any redness or pimples or anything like that. I wish it would focus. There it goes. Yeah, so I'm keeping that one for sure. And then also I have the Dr. Jart Cicapair. This is also green, but it's kind of like a moisturizer type formula, and it's better for kind of putting on larger areas of redness. So both really nice, both hanging on to for sure. Then I have a few pink under eye correctors. I have these Algenist drops. I don't use them as drops. I just kind of take them off of the dropper. They work pretty well, really thin and serum-y formula. Also really thin and serum-y formula, these Milani Supercharged Brightening Under Eye Tint. This takes such a tiny amount for both eyes that I'm not sure I will literally ever run out of this, which is good because I like it a lot. Then I have the Bobbi Brown correcting under eye brightener thing. I like this formula a lot because it's hydrating. You can see it's got a little bit of that dewiness to it, but it's not too glowy dewy. And so concealer still wears really well on top of this. This Becca one is a little bit more finicky. It's much more hydrating and dewy, and so sometimes it doesn't dry down all the way, and concealer on top of this one can be a little finicky. But especially on like very little makeup days, this works really well by itself as well. So I still hang on to it because I do really like how hydrating it is on my under eyes. And last but certainly not least, this is my all-time favorite color corrector. This is the Pixi by Petra Brightening Peach color corrector. I love this thing. You can see that I have a pretty decent sized dent going in it. It's just perfect. The formula, the color, everything about this is perfect, and it wears super, super beautifully under concealer. So best color corrector. If you're looking for an under eye color corrector, this is my #1 recommendation. All right, so getting into concealers proper. Let's start with an easy one. These are my Too Faced Born This Way concealers. As you can see, I have 4 of them. I really like this, obviously. The reason I ended up with 4 of them is because the first time I got one, it was the wrong color. So I got another one, and it was the wrong color. So I got another one, and it was the wrong color. And finally, I just picked up this ultra light one at TJ Maxx to mix with the other ones and make it a more usable color. I love this stuff. Love it under the eyes. Love it all over the face. So obviously, it goes nowhere ever. Similarly, going nowhere ever is my Tarte Shape Tape. I don't care if this is out of style. I literally do not care. If I have like a pimple or something that I just really need to cover up and make sure it stays covered all day long, like when I'm at the hospital or something, I will just pop this on top of it, blend it out, and call it a day. So this is my ride or die go-to for that type of thing. This rides around in my backpack all of the time, so you can pry this out of my cold dead hands. I don't care if it's out of style or whatever. This is the Tarte Shape Tape Ultra Creamy. While we're on that, this is a little bit light for me, but I really do like using it as kind of a brightening shade that also kind of makes the under eye a little bit more dewy and hydrated. So I enjoy using it for that. This one I actually used in a recent like trying things on the chopping block video. This is the Juvia's Place I Am Magic concealer. And I ended up really, really liking how my under eyes looked in that video. So I'm hanging on to this. I'm looking forward to getting more use out of it for sure. One that can go, I think, are my Wet n Wild Incognito concealers. I used to really like these, and I'm not sure what changed, but the last couple of times I used these, they just looked super weird under my eyes. Like, they started, like, separating and leaving this weird, like, demarcated line underneath my eye. I don't really know how to explain it. It was like it was sticking to the part right underneath my eye, but then under that, like on the actual part that has the deepest dark circle, it would just like break apart. It was very weird. I don't feel that bad. They're very cheap, and I don't know. I haven't had them that long, so I don't know if it's just how old they are or what, but yeah, these can go. I'm going to hang on to the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Concealer. I use this all the time. This is great under the eyes, great all over the face. Nice, like, medium coverage concealer that's hydrating, but doesn't necessarily have that dewy finish. It definitely dries down. This is a really, really good one. This is my Kosas Revealer Concealer. I'm obsessed with this. It is so creamy, so hydrating, such full coverage. Like, this is crazy good. I got the mini of it because I did hear that it goes bad kind of fast. Mine hasn't, but I've only had it since like April, I think. So hopefully I've got a while left with this guy because it's really, really nice. I also love my Wet n Wild Mega Glow Concealer Stick. This is amazing to just tap under the eye with a finger on just like an everyday makeup kind of look. The coverage is not super intense at all, but it's also really hydrating and comfortable under the eyes. And I feel like I don't even have to set it with powder, and it never moves around. And yet it has this really like thin hydrating formula. I don't know. It's kind of witchcraft. I really, really love this one. I would take this one over Incognito any day. Interrupting this category for a quick oopsie. I was looking for something in my purse and I realized that this was sitting in my purse. I'm not decluttering it, obviously, because I was carrying it around in my purse. This is the NYX Bear With Me Concealer Serum, and it is by far one of the best concealer. This might be my favorite concealer, no joke. This is so good. If you haven't tried it, do it. Anyway, obviously I'm not decluttering this, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Back to the rest of the concealer declutter. Another one that nobody ever can take away from me is my NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer. This stuff's like magic in a pot. I really don't know how to explain it, but it has a matte finish that is never ever drying, and somehow the texture of this, it's almost like this almost whipped moussey type thing, but not really. It's so hard to describe, but it goes on over like pimples and blemishes and things like that, and like blurs the texture of them. So as opposed to just covering the color of a blemish, which it does really well, it also kind of covers the texture of it, like sticking up off of your face. It's fascinating. I don't know how they do this, but I love it, and it will be in my collection forever and ever, amen. I think I'm also going to let go of this one. This is the Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion Concealer. I really liked this one for a while, but kind of similar to that Incognito one. It's just the last few times I've used this, my under eyes end up kind of looking like crap. And it's pretty old, so that might have something to do with it, but one way or another, it just doesn't look good when I use it anymore, so it can go. This is a potentially unpopular opinion, but I really like the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye. You just kind of have to know how to work with it. This is ridiculously full coverage, like insanely full coverage, so you need like less than a dot of this for both eyes. You have to spread it out really, really thin, and if you do that and then powder it, because it can definitely get creasy if you don't, it looks great, and it's like full glam concealer look. So I don't use this a ton, which is why I have the mini size of it, and I've had this for years, and it's nowhere near empty. So I hang on to this one for like I need my under eyes like blanked out completely kind of look. This Catrice True Skin one is a really good kind of lighter coverage option. They call it high coverage. I wouldn't. I mean, it's not super light, but I prefer like at least high medium coverage, and this is like more of a true medium. I do really enjoy this though. The formula is really, really nice. It's good all over the face or under the eyes, so this is a great drugstore priced option. This is the e.l.f. Flawless Brightening Concealer. It's the like clicky pen one that has a brush. Again, this is a really, really great one for just like an everyday type of look. It's very, very thin and pretty light coverage, but when I just need my under eyes to look a little bit less dark and dead, this does the job and stays on all day, never budges, and it almost doesn't affect the texture of my under eyes at all because it's so thin. So I enjoy this one. Also, when I have a concealer that I feel like just needs a little bit of extra brightening, tapping a little bit of this on top does a really good job as well. I feel like I'm not getting rid of that many. I'm sorry. I feel like I should get rid of more, but some of these are just really, really nice. Let's see. This one I think I can get rid of. This is the L'Oreal Infallible Full Wear. It's fine. There's nothing super wrong with it. It's just that for what this does, my Shape Tape does the exact same thing, and I like it better. That's pretty much it. It's fine, there's nothing wrong with it, but I won't miss it. Similarly, this Flower Light Illusion one, it's fine, but number one, I feel like it's just super the wrong shade for me. It is very cool toned, like to the point that it's almost gray on me, and that's kind of weird. So I never really like the color, number one, and number two, I just feel like when I use this on my under eyes, they don't end up looking good by the end of the day. And that's important to me, so as much as I love Flower Beauty, I'm gonna let this one go. I'm interested in trying their other concealer though, so maybe that one would work a little bit better for me. This is the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer. I really, really like this one. It looks so good under the eyes. The entire Maybelline Fit Me line is just like a banger. I've never tried a bad thing from the Fit Me line, so this is such a good drugstore option. And in the packaging, I feel like what they were going for is to make it kind of similar to the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. I also like this one a lot as well. It's not a great shade match for me, but I'm going to use this one as much as I can. It's starting to dry out a little bit. It's nowhere near as creamy as it used to be. It still works well for now, but I feel like either when I use up as much of this as I can get out of the tube, or it dries up all the way, I'm going to get a better shade match. But I do really like how this looks under the eyes. I'm gonna be quick about this. This is the Jeffree Star concealer. I know he's canceled. I know we don't like him anymore. I bought this before all of that, and I'm so sorry, but it's a really good concealer, so I'm gonna hang on to it. I don't really talk about it. I don't really talk about anything I have from Jeffree Star because of all the kind of problematic stuff that came out. but I like this concealer, so I'm going to keep it, and I really like the packaging. So I'm not going to get rid of it just because he kind of sucks. Getting down to the end here, this is also kind of a takeoff on the NARS concealer. This is the Neutrogena Radiant Cream Concealer, and it's beautiful. The coverage is significantly less than the NARS, but I think it's actually creamier and more hydrating and a little bit more like dewy radiant than the NARS one. So it doesn't have as much coverage and it doesn't dry down quite as well, but I feel like the term radiant creamy fits this one better than the NARS one, if that makes sense. So I like this one a lot. This, again, you can pry from my cold dead hands. This is my Pat McGrath, what is this? The Sublime Fetish Concealer, is that what it's called? Skin Fetish Sublime, whatever. This is amazing. This is one of the best freaking concealers on the planet, and it better be, you know, for being Pat McGrath price point. But it is, so you're never taking this from me, ever, ever, ever. It's going to be in my collection until I literally can't use it anymore, and then I'll get another one. You know, I didn't think I was going to do this, but I am going to get rid of this Conceal and Hydrate from Makeup Revolution. I feel like a lot of people like this, but again, the last few times I can remember using it, it just didn't do anything for my under eyes. They didn't look good. I didn't have a good concealer day that day. And I won't miss it if it's gone, so I'm okay with it being gone. This is the NYX Born to Glow concealer. They don't sell this anymore, which is a real shame, and mine looks absolutely crusty dusty because it has that like squeeze sponge tip. I don't care. This is a phenomenal concealer, and I'm not getting rid of it, even though it's pretty gross. It either needs to get grosser or it needs to run out before I'm willing to get rid of it. It still looks amazing when I use it under my eyes, so right now, I don't care. This is the LYS Triple Fix Serum Concealer. It goes with the foundation. I actually had this one first. I think I ordered it on BoxyCharm or something like that. It's really nice. I like this. It's good all over the face or under the eyes, so hang on to that. This is the L'Oreal Age Perfect Radiant Concealer. I love this. It's beautiful. The Age Perfect line like never misses. This has such a nice serum-y texture, but also really impressive coverage. So, I mean, again, the Age Perfect line came through with a banger. What to do with these? These are the ones that I've kind of been scratching my head over this whole time. This is the First Aid Beauty Hello Fab Avocado Concealer. And my thing with this is I feel like it's good for like an everyday kind of concealer. The coverage is nothing to write home about. And it has like a dewy finish and is very hydrating, which I like because it's from like a skincare brand, you know? The problem is I feel like if I try to powder over this, it never really looks great. But it also doesn't dry down all the way, and it creases if you don't powder over it. I don't know. I feel like the way that I'm describing this, I can get rid of it. The way I'm describing this means that I don't really like it. So, yeah, I'm going to get rid of this. And finally, we have these. These are the CoverGirl True Blend Undercover Concealers. These are, again, kind of a Shape Tape-esque type of deal. They're very high coverage, you know, matte concealers, dry down all the way. They've got like the big doe foot applicators and all of that. I have two shades because this one was too dark for me and this one was too light for me, so I usually end up mixing them together. But the problem with that is that I feel like these work well in the way that I use Shape Tape, which is kind of as a spot concealer. I think what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to get rid of this lighter shade and I'm going to keep the darker one because the darker one makes a better spot concealer. The lighter one I only use to lighten up this one under my eyes. And again, I don't really use this type of concealer for that kind of thing. So I'll keep this one as a spot concealer and let this one go. All right, so this is the final collection. This is what I will be keeping in terms of my concealers and color correctors. I love how literally like a fourth of the concealer space is taken up by Too Faced Born this way. And these are the ones that I am going to be decluttering. I'm pretty satisfied with this. I feel like these are the ones that I don't really think about and I won't really miss. So this is, I think, another success. Hey you guys, Editing Maddie here. I definitely thought that I was going to be able to fit powders and setting sprays into this same video, but it has gotten astronomically too long and I don't want to do that to you. So I'm going to put powders, setting sprays, and a couple of my smaller categories into kind of a catch-all video, if that's okay with you, like a little miscellaneous section. of stuff that doesn't really fit anywhere else. With that being said, that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like down below. Leave me a comment. Let me know what your favorite base products have been lately. Maybe some of them will end up in my 2023 favorites, which will also be coming eventually. And of course, if you're interested in seeing more of this declutter series, please hit subscribe. I would absolutely love to have you. And until the next one, bye you guys.